I still remember the sound of the front door unlocking. It was 8:17 p.m. I know because I had just checked the time on the microwave while reheating dinner. He was late. Again. But this time, he wasn't alone. I heard a woman's laugh before I saw her. Bright. Comfortable. Like she already belonged here. I walked into the hallway and froze. 2 large suitcases, a duffel bag, a cardboard box labeled F for AGLE, and his sister standing in my living room. Or living room. I corrected myself silently. Oh good, you're home, he said casually, like he'd just brought in groceries. I meant to tell you. A man to tell me. His sister gave me a tight smile. Surprise. Surprise. I looked at the luggage again. How long is she staying? I asked, keeping my voice steady. He shrugged. A while. Things are complicated. A while. Complicated. Those words feel harmless until they move into your space without permission. She'll just crash here until she gets back on her feet. He added quickly. You know how it is. No. Actually, I didn't. Because no one asked me, no one discussed it. No one considered that I pay half the rent, half the utilities, half the groceries, and most of the furniture. His sister was already walking toward the guest room, the one I used as my office. Oh, I'll take this room, she said, dropping her bag on my desk chair. I stared at him. He didn't meet my eyes. Instead, he said something that changed everything. You don't mind covering the extra groceries and utilities for now, right? She's struggling? Right. Because apparently my paycheck had become community property too. In that moment, something inside me shifted. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet clarity. This wasn't about helping family. This was about boundaries. And the fact that he didn't think I deserved one. I smiled softly. Of course, I said calmly. But what he didn't realize was this. I had just started calculating something far bigger than grocery bills. I've always been the responsible one. The planner. The saver. The girl who reads contracts before signing them and keeps receipts in labeled folders. When we first moved in together 2 years ago, it felt like a dream. We found this apartment after months of searching. I remember standing in the empty living room, sunlight pouring through the windows, and him wrapping his arms around me from behind. This is our start, he whispered, and I believed him. We split everything 50-50. Rent, utilities, internet. I even created a shared spreadsheet so we could track expenses. He used to joke, "What would I do without you?" Back then, it sounded sweet. Now it sounds dangerous. Because somewhere along the way, being responsible turned into being relied on. And being relied on turned into being expected. He wasn't careless. Not exactly. He just floated through life. If a bill was due, I reminded him. If groceries ran low, I restocked them. If something broke, I called the landlord. And I didn't mind. I loved him. Or at least, I loved who I thought he was. His sister had always been going through something. A breakup. A job loss. A fight with a friend. She was dramatic but charming. Loud but fragile. Whenever he talked about her, his voice softened. She just needs support, he would say. I never argued with that. Support is beautiful when it's mutual. But this didn't feel mutual. The first night she stayed over, I listened to them laughing in the living room while I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at my laptop. My office was now her bedroom. My workspace packed into a corner of the dining table. I heard her say, "You're lucky she's so understanding." He laughed. Yeah, she's chill. She won't make it a big deal. Chill, not respected, not consulted, just convenient. And that's when I realized something painful. I had worked so hard to be easy to love, that I had become easy to overlook. The first week felt like an experiment. I told myself maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this was temporary. Maybe I could adjust. But adjustment slowly turned into displacement. My desk disappeared under her makeup bags. My favorite mug became her teacup. The fridge filled with her labeled containers, organic juices, almond milk, expensive snacks. And somehow, the grocery bill doubled. When I brought it up gently, he waved his hand. She doesn't have income right now. It's just until she finds something. How long is that? I asked. He sighed. Why are you being like this? Being like what? Aware? I swallowed my frustration. I just think we should all contribute fairly. She walked in mid-conversation, arms folded. I can hear you, you know. I'm not whispering, I replied calmly. She tilted her head. If money's tight for you, just say that. That one stung. Money wasn't tight. Respect was. I looked at him, waiting for him to say something, to defend me. To acknowledge that I was the one keeping this place afloat. Instead, he rubbed his forehead. Can we not fight about this? She's family. And what was I? The landlord. The sponsor. The girlfriend with an open wallet. A few days later, the electricity bill came in. Higher than usual. I placed it on the counter. One need to split this 3 ways. He didn't even look at it. Just cover it for now. For now. Those 2 words again. It wasn't just the money. It was the assumption. The quiet belief that I would absorb the inconvenience without complaint, because that's what I always did. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I wasn't angry. I was disappointed. Because love isn't supposed to feel like being slowly erased. And the most painful part, he didn't even notice it happening. But I did. And I was done pretending I didn't. It didn't explode all at once. It built slowly. Like water rising in a glass no one is watching. One morning, I walked into the kitchen and found her wearing my sweater, not borrowing. Wearing? Oh, this? It was just in the closet? She said casually. You don't mind, right? Before I could answer, he chimed in, see, you share everything. Everything, except decisions. Later that week, I came home early from work. I wasn't feeling well, headache, exhaustion. That tight feeling in my chest that comes from swallowing too much. The living room was full. 3 of her friends. Shoes everywhere. Music playing. My coffee table covered in takeout boxes. I stood there for a second, invisible in my own home. Oh hey, she said brightly. We're just having a small thing. A small thing. No message, no warning. I looked at him. He avoided my eyes again. She needed cheering up, he said quietly, like that explained it. I walked to our bedroom and shut the door softly. Not slammed, softly. That night I opened my laptop, not to work. To calculate. Rent, utilities, groceries, internet, furniture payments, because yes, I had financed most of it. My name was on almost everything, including the lease. He had bad credit when we first applied. I had qualified a loan. I had forgotten that. Or maybe I chose not to remember. The next morning, I requested a meeting with the landlord. Just to clarify a few things. I didn't tell him. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just started preparing. Because here's the thing about women who stay calm, we're not weak. We're strategic. And he still thought this was about grocery bills. It wasn't. It was about the fact that he moved someone into my life without asking, and expected me to fund it. He didn't realize something crucial. If I could build this stability once, I could build it again, alone. And this time, I wouldn't share the foundation. The landlord meeting lasted 15 minutes. 15 calm, polite, life-altering minutes. I walked in with copies of the lease, payment history, and bank transfers. Every rent payment had come from my account. Every utility was registered under my name. I just want to confirm, I said gently. Who is legally allowed to live in the apartment? He adjusted his glasses and scanned the document. Only the 2 names listed here, he said. Any additional resident needs written approval. And if someone moves in without approval, that violates the lease. Simple. Clear. Powerful. I thanked him and left. That night, I waited until dinner. His sister was scrolling on the couch. He was in the kitchen. I spoke to the landlord today, I said calmly. Both of them looked up. Why? He asked, already defensive. Because someone moved in without being on the lease. Silence. She sat up straighter. Are you serious? Yes. He ran a hand through his hair. You're blowing this out of proportion. No. I replied softly. You did that when you made a decision for both of us. I placed a printed email on the table. It was from the landlord. Formal notice. Unauthorized occupant must vacate within 14 days or lease termination proceedings may begin. His face went pale. You'd risk us losing the apartment, he whispered. I held his gaze. No. I'm protecting it? His sister stood up abruptly. So I'm just supposed to be homeless? You were supposed to be temporary, I said. Temporary doesn't mean permanent without consent. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You went behind my back. The irony almost made me smile. You moved someone into my home without asking. That was the twist he never expected. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to use facts. And facts don't care about feelings. 14 days. That was the timeline. And suddenly, I wasn't the chill girlfriend anymore. I was the one holding the leash. The 14 days were quiet. Uncomfortably quiet. No more laughter in the living room. No more late-night music. No more casual entitlement floating through the air. His sister avoided me completely. Packed slowly. Dramatically. Like every folded shirt was a statement. He, on the other hand, tried a different strategy. You didn't have to go that far, he said one night, sitting at the edge of the bed. I did, I replied calmly. You could have just talked to me. I tried. He didn't argue with that, because he knew it was true. On day 12, her suitcases were back by the door. Just like the night she arrived. But this time, they weren't a surprise. They were a consequence. Before she left, she looked at me and said, I hope you're happy. I met her eyes. I am, not because she was leaving, but because I had chosen myself. When the door closed behind her, the apartment felt different, not emptier, clearer. He stood there for a long time. You've changed? He said quietly. No, I answered. I stopped shrinking. That hit him harder than yelling ever could. A week later, I made another decision. I gave him 30 days' notice. I think we want different things, I said gently. You're breaking up with me over this. It's not about your sister, I said. It's about respect. He didn't fight me. Maybe deep down, he knew I had already left emotionally the night he chose comfort over partnership. A month later, I signed a new lease, smaller place, sunlight in the mornings, quiet evenings, my furniture, my bills, my peace. And here's the truth no one talks about. Revenge isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's withdrawal. Sometimes it's refusing to fund what disrespects you. He thought I would cover everything. Instead, I removed everything. And suddenly, he had to stand on his own. Months later, I look back and realize how much that experience changed me. I didn't just reclaim my apartment. I reclaimed my life, my boundaries, my dignity. I learned that being calm, strategic, and firm is often more powerful than anger or confrontation. I still see him sometimes. He texts occasionally, half apologetic, half casual. But I don't respond right away. I don't feel guilty. I know now that respect is earned, not assumed, and anyone who expects you to fund their convenience without asking, they weren't respecting you in the first place. The biggest lesson: love, partnership, or family support isn't about entitlement. It's not about who moves in, who pays, or who sacrifices. It's about communication, consent, and mutual respect. When those vanish, it's okay to step away. I've never been happier living alone, managing my space, and making my own decisions. Quiet mornings, calm nights, and knowing that everything I've earned belongs solely to me. That independence tastes sweeter than any compromise ever could. And the truth is simple: being used to support someone else's convenience isn't love. Being firm, taking control, and choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. I moved forward stronger, unshaken, and finally unstoppable. If this story resonated, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, because sometimes the quietest people set the boundaries that change everything.